Introduction to British and American Children's Literature. Week 1. Table of Contents. Teacher Introduction, that's me. Class Overview, Class Schedule, Grading, Lesson, Literary Language, Weekly Discussion Questions, and Wrap-Up. Hi, my name is Laura Scriven. I have been at the University of Suwon for 1 year now. Before that, I was at Dongguk University for 10 years. My email address is laura.suwonday@gmail.com. Also, you can send me a message at my personal email, kimsilgi@gmail.com. Let me introduce you to my family. There are 4 people in my family. That's me in the back, the tall one, my little sister Barbara, my mother, and my father. This was a few years ago at my sister's 40th birthday. My mother, her name is Valerie Scriven. She went to high school in Argentina, so she speaks Spanish and English fluently. She's a lot of fun. She's been to Korea many times, and she's coming again this winter. Perhaps you'll get to meet her. My father. My father likes to do one thing, and that's sports. Anything sports. He loves basketball, baseball, soccer. It doesn't matter. He watches it all. He loves sports so much. It's hard to get him to do anything else. My sister Barbara is 3 years younger than me. I lived in Korea first, but then I brought her over, and she stayed for about 18 months. She's a lot of fun. I miss her when I'm over here. Last winter, we all met in Thailand, me, my mother, and my sister. We were there for a month. It was great fun. Now, I don't have any children, but I do have 4-legged children. This is my oldest. His name is Safi. He's 15 years old. He was born in October in 2001. He was actually born in Busan. He's Korean. Right now, he's living with my father in America. He was lonely, so I got a friend for him. Her name is Zwina, and she was born in Gyeongju. She's about 8 years old and super cute. Zwina means beautiful in Arabic, and I think she's a beautiful cat. And then there's my big one. His name is Jacques. He was born in Daegu. He's a golden retriever, and he's 10 years old. He also is living with my father in America. He's been to Korea, Japan, Canada, and America. Right there, he is at our lake. That's the lake in front of my father's house, and he loves it there. He has so much fun. We had a contest to see who was the most popular dog in my hometown. He didn't win, but he liked to dress up and have a lot of fun. He's a little bit angry with me right now. That's the sad face he gives me because I'm not with him. Sorry, Jacques. I'm from Chelsea, Michigan in the United States. I'm about an hour from Canada. My hometown is quite small. This is the train station. The train doesn't stop there anymore. Now they use that for weddings and parties. This was one of the most famous buildings in our town. We call it the Clock Tower. And this is Main Street. There are about 5,000 people in my hometown. There were about 3,000 people when I lived there. My family has been in the area for a long time. This is something that my great-grandfather built. My great-grandparents used to own all this land. The road and this lake are named after my family. My grandmother was a Riker, and this is Riker Lake, and I live on Riker Road. This is a picture of Riker Lake in the fall. And this is my father's house. It was my grandparents' summer cottage. When my parents got a divorce, my father turned it into a year-round cottage. It's beautiful there in the summer. Oh, and you can just see my father too. This is the other side. It's very small, 2 bedrooms, bathroom, and a small kitchen living room area. But it's big enough for one person. The only thing I don't like about Michigan are the winters. Lots and lots of snow. It's pretty, but oh, is it cold. I've been in Korea a very long time, probably before most of you were born. You may recognize some of these people. There's me, Gu Jung-yeop, and Gangware from Cologne. I got to meet them a couple of times during their concerts. I love their music, so much fun. That's me and a good friend during World Cup 2002. Good job, Korea. It was so exciting. I have been all over Korea and seen so many different things. These are some of my favorite pictures and some of my favorite places. Last year I came back to Korea and I moved to Suwon. I had always lived in Gyeongsangbuk-do or Gyeongsangnam-do before now. So it's a little bit different up here, but I'm learning my way around. One of my hobbies is traveling, and I've been to 16 different countries. Of course, I've been to a lot of places in the U.S. I've been to Hawaii. I was in Alaska for a minute, but I don't think that counts. I've been to Canada. It's only about an hour from my house, so I've been there quite a few times. Recently, my sister and I took my father there. When I was in high school, I was part of the Spanish club, and we went to Spain for a couple of weeks. It was beautiful. I was only 15, and so I was a little bit afraid of the food because it wasn't American. But now, I like food from all over. For my high school senior trip, my mother and I and my father and my sister went with my grandparents to Mexico. I've been there a few times since then as well. Great food, great music, and beautiful countryside. Oh, and wonderful shopping. The next country that I went to was Korea, and I'm still here. I've also been to Japan several times, but I've never been to Kyoto, usually only Fukuoka. One of the first trips that I made out of Korea was to the Philippines, and while I was there I learned how to scuba dive with my friends. Really beautiful beaches. My favorite vacation place is Thailand. I've probably been there 10 or 15 times. This is a picture of me there with my mother. I've been to Machu Picchu in Peru. We visited quite a few different places in Peru. It's so beautiful, but I'm afraid of heights, so it was kind of a scary place for me. I've been to Morocco several times. That's me in the Sahara. I haven't been there for a long time, but I'd love to go back. My mother and I and my sister travel together a lot. Of course, this is us in China. I told you before that my mother went to high school in Argentina. She has high school reunions there. So my mother, my sister, and I all go back to visit. I've been to Argentina twice for a month each time. That's a place that I could easily live. Speaking of living, I lived in Italy for a while. Rome, actually. What a beautiful, amazing city. I don't like to live in big cities, but I would love to live in Rome again. I met a French girl in Korea my first year, and she moved to Amsterdam, and I went and visited her in Holland. What a pretty city. My mother and sister and I spent a lot of time in Vietnam. Wonderful food. I loved the food. And that's me in Cambodia. There was great food there also. And the temples were amazing, of course. I have a lot of different hobbies. There's so many things in the world. Most of the photos in this lesson I took. Here are some of my favorite photos. This is in the southwest of America. These are my friends and their daughter. This is a school down in Gyeongju, Old Confucianism School. This is the door in China. I love how red it is. This is Angkor Wat in Cambodia. And this is Ayutthaya in Thailand. A couple of tango dancers in Argentina. And a beach not too terribly far from where I grew up. That's actually a lake, not an ocean. Another one of my hobbies is scuba diving. I learned how to do that in the Philippines a long time ago. I've been scuba diving in Thailand, the Philippines, and Hawaii. I haven't been scuba diving in Korea yet, and I don't know if I want to because I don't like cold water. So I might not be diving here. I also like riding horses. When I was young, I had a horse, and my sister had a pony. My horse's name was Eagle. He wasn't the most well-trained horse, but he was a lot of fun, and I thought he was quite pretty. This was a few years ago. My sister and I went horseback riding in Colorado. You may have noticed me talking about food, 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 food in all the countries I've been to. Well, that's because another hobby of mine is cooking. These are some different things that I've made. Most of them I made here in Korea. This is Moroccan food. This is called a Moroccan tagine. I took a cake decorating class, and this was my final exam. I don't know what I liked more, the outside of the cake or the inside. It was chocolate with raspberry. So good. The cheese on this dish is made by a friend of mine and his goats. His farm is in Gyeongju. So this is fresh goat cheese from his farm. Perhaps my biggest hobby is building things. I like to build anything. Right before I came to Korea, I built a closet at my mother's house. This is my father's house. He never had a proper mantle for above the fireplace. So we built one. And I thought it turned out quite nice. I was very happy, and so's he. Now I'm going to tell you about some of my favorite childhood books. One of the first books I remember enjoying was The Foot Book by Dr. Seuss. I loved the repetition. Left foot, right foot, right. Feet in the morning, feet at night. It was just a fun thing to say, and even when I was much too old for it, I would always read it because I loved the sound of it. Another one of my favorite books is Hansel and Gretel. Not only did I like the story, but this book in particular had wonderful pictures, and I would just spend so much time looking at the pictures. They were actual pictures of puppets, and so the entire world and everything was real. Another favorite story was Paul Bunyan. I think the reason that I liked it so much is because when my father was a child, he painted a picture of Babe, Paul Bunyan's blue ox, and it was always hanging in our family cottage. Stuart Little is a fantastic story about a family that has a mouse for a child. All the little things that they make for him so that he's more comfortable. They make him a canoe, as you can see in the picture. He has a sports car. It's really cool, really interesting. Probably my most influential and favorite story series is Little House on the Prairie books. They are by Laura Ingalls Wilder, so of course, Laura. I love that. And it's the story of Laura and her family as they move across America, as America is growing. So I learned how to make cheese and how to make butter and all kinds of things that most people don't know how to do. Everybody knows about Peter Pan, but most people haven't read the book. If you get the chance, I would highly recommend it. It's quite different than a lot of the stories that we know, and it's really beautifully written with a lot of great detail. Another adventure story is The Swiss Family Robinson, and it's the story of a family that's moving to Australia, but their ship is broken during a storm, and it's all about how they learn to live and thrive on the island by themselves. My Side of the Mountain is the story of a young boy who runs away from home and wants to live in the mountains. He learns how to train birds, he learns how to make pancakes, and he builds a house in a tree. Really fascinating. I love learning about how to do things on your own. The Trixie Belden series, they're just simple, fun, interesting mysteries. Everybody loves mysteries. One of the books that I've read probably 15 or 20 times is Ghosts I Have Been by Richard Peck. It's fun, it's scary, it's interesting, it's well written, and it's about the Titanic. So, everything that makes a perfect book. I hope you guys get the chance to read some of these stories and learn about some of these characters during the semester. I also hope that I get to learn about new stories from you and the stories that you loved as children. Now we're going to talk about the course and what you need to do in it. First, every week we will, as a class, read one common book, and then we will discuss it. One of our discussion questions will be about this book that we have all read. The second discussion question and the second responsibility of the course is to choose another book to read. It can be from our course list, or it can be a book that you have privately asked me if it's okay. You don't always have to read the whole book because that's a lot of reading. At the beginning of the course, the books will be quite short, so you can read the whole thing. Once you have read it, you will write a little bit of information about it and give your impression and your opinion of it. Then we, as a class, will discuss it in our discussion questions. The third thing we're going to do in this class is we're going to learn literary philosophies, and we're going to discuss the books using these philosophies and terminology. Hopefully, when you finish this course, not only will you be a better reader, you'll have a better understanding of English children's literature and how it has shaped our culture. The required materials for this course are pretty standard for any online course. You must have a computer, you must have reliable internet access, you need to have access to Microsoft Office, particularly PowerPoint and Word. You also need to have access to children's literature. The required readings will be provided and you can read them in our course, but you're going to need to choose some of your own books, so either through a library or through online access. I have some materials that you can borrow, but you need to let me know. You do need access to other outside children's literature. Our class schedule follows the normal on-campus schedule. I've outlined the dates and the weeks here. Midterm exam is week 8, and that is on campus. That was not my choice. The school made us have on-campus exams. The other dates to remember: every Wednesday your discussion questions are due. Wednesday at midnight, 11:59 actually. And Sunday at 11:59 your responses are due. Unfortunately, I can't allow extra time. If you have any questions or problems, please contact me as soon as possible. I'm going to talk a little bit about the midterm and the final exam here. The midterm exam, as I said, is on campus, and it will be a written exam primarily discussing the literary terms and testing you on analyzing some of the books that we've already read. The final exam will be a presentation on a book of your choice, and I will post more about both of these in the next couple weeks. You can find our schedule online. Because this is an online course, I wanted to keep everything as simple as possible. Participation is 40%. What is participation in an online course? In our course, it is the discussion questions and it is the responses. The more you discuss and the more you respond, the better your participation will be. You must have a minimum of 4 responses each week. I would love if everybody had more. That would be great. The other 2 grades that you will receive in this class is the midterm exam, which is 30%. It's written and it's in person. The final is also 30% and it's a presentation. It's also in person. There may be some slight adjustments throughout the course, nothing major, but because it's an online course and because of the number of people, we may have to make some adjustments. If you have any questions or concerns, always feel free to contact me. For your participation to be counted, the answers to your discussion questions and your responses must be substantive. That means that they contribute to the conversation. They forward it. They make it more interesting. You can't just say, good job, or well done, or I agree. Those don't count. You must continue the conversation in order for you to receive credit. You're in class, on campus, midterm exam, which is worth 30%, will be October 20th from 4:30 to 7:30. It probably will take you less than an hour, but that's the time frame right now. I will give you more information as the time gets closer. Your on-campus final exam will be December 8th between 4:30 and 7:30. This will probably change, but I'll let you know as we get closer. When discussing literature, it's important for everyone to have the same language. Therefore, we're going to study vocabulary that is appropriate for this course. Please learn and practice using these vocabulary words. You will be given credit for using them in your discussion questions. They need to become part of your vocabulary. The vocabulary words are available in the glossary in the online Blackboard system. It's under Tools. There are many different kinds of stories, but right now we're going to talk about the main ones that are most popular with children. The first one is biography. Biography is just a story of someone's life. It could be someone famous, it could be someone that no one has ever heard of before, but it's a true story of someone's life. The next one is a fairy tale. A fairy tale is a story that has been handed down from generation to generation. They usually have magic in them. That's what makes them different from folk tales and other kinds of stories. There is something about it that is magical. Fantasy is very popular with children, and it's something that just couldn't happen. There could be magic, there could be things that aren't real. Harry Potter is a fantasy. Fiction is stories about imaginary people and events. It could have magic in it, it could be completely normal, it could be a story that actually could happen. But anything that's not true is fiction. Folktales are the traditional stories of a country or a region. They are told from generation to generation. They often have some kind of message or something that people are supposed to learn. They weren't originally just for children. They were stories to be told around the campfire at night when work was done. Historical fiction is fiction Remember, fiction is stories that aren't real. Historical fiction may take real events or real people, but they make a story out of them. And most of the elements of the story are not true, even if the larger picture is true. Mysteries. Kids love mysteries. And a mystery is something that you don't know the ending. You have to find clues, you have to think, you go along with the main character to try to find the answer to this mystery. Realistic fiction is fiction, again, fiction that's not true, but realistic fiction is fiction that could be true. It's a story about somebody or something that could actually happen. As I said, there are many other kinds of stories, but right now we're going to focus on these that are most popular with children. I know we've gone over the discussion questions before, but we can't go over it enough. They're 40% of your grade, so they're really important. They're the bulk of what we're doing in this class. Each week, I will post 2 discussion questions. The first discussion question will be about materials that we all read. You must answer the question and then you must respond to 2 other students' answers. The second discussion question will be you reading something on your own and posting about it, telling us about it, telling us your opinions, any insight that you have to the story. And then you must make posts on 2 other students' materials. I encourage you to post as much as possible. The more we post, the more we'll get out of this class. I will also be posting and commenting, so please try to read everybody's comments. It makes for a much better class. Remember, your responses must be substantive. So they must contribute to the conversation. Make it interesting. Pretend you're in a real class and we're just talking. The discussion questions this week are pretty basic, just kind of getting to know you. Question number 1. At the beginning of this presentation, I told you my story. Tell us your story. Include your interests, hobbies, and future plans. We would also love to see any pictures you wish to post. So basically, question number 1 is tell us about you. Question number 2, tell us about your favorite childhood book. Explain what made it special to you. Make sure you include the author and the title so that I and others can read it. The book can be in English or Korean, but you must talk about it in English. Tell us any stories or memories that you have associated with it. And don't forget to respond to the other students' answers as well. Well, that's the end of the lesson for this week. If you have any questions or comments, you can email me at the emails here, or you can post under the question thread on Blackboard. Remember, you have 2 discussion questions due. Usually they're due on Wednesday, but this week they're going to be due on Sunday night at 11:59 p.m. You also have to do your 4 substantive responses due Sunday night at 11:59. I look forward to getting to know you better, and I can't wait to share my favorite stories with you.